Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to teamfortress.tv. I'm FrickMyNick. I'm joined by Jakey as my co-caster and Shears TF. Got another game of RGL Season 3 invite happening tonight. We got Dorsia versus the Microwave. How you doing tonight, Jakey?
I am doing fantastic. Just got done with my own game, and I'm ready to see some higher level players play on this map as well. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's a good week to have an invite game on Process. You know, I think it's Process for all the lower divs, if I'm not mistaken.
It is process for the lower divs right now.
Just wanted to double check that because I couldn't remember if it was this week or last week. But oh yeah, I mean, gonna see these teams playing on the classic Pug map. We've got Dorsia, the latecomers to the season, a reservation to Dorsia 2 weeks into the season. How'd you manage that one? But anybody who gets that reference, shout out to them. And then on the other side of things, we got the Microwave, the returning core from what, season 2031 of Invite? I'm trying to remember the season of Invite that they played in the SCA, but an old returning team. It's good to see them back. Yeah, so to run down the roster of the Microwave, you should see some epic stats on screen. I don't have them, unfortunately, but the roster of the Microwave consists of Sky on Medic. We're going to have Chunky on Demo Man. It's going to be Haze on Pocket and Rakuso on Roamer, and it's going to be Phone and Shamu on Scout. And on the other side of things, we have Dorsia. If you want to put up the Dorsia stats for me, Shears. Yeah, and so Dorsia, a bit of a roster change. They've lost their namesake player, Yomps. Very disappointing. I'm a huge Yomps fan myself, but in his steed, they're going to have Brand Slam, and I believe it's going to be Brand Slam and Marmaloo on Scout, is what I was told. And then it's going to be Ash and Zilly on Soldier, Yite on Demo Man, and Cookie Jake on Medic. So, you know, some old school players coming back. Or what we've seen earlier from them this season doesn't look like they're taking the season the most seriously. They're just hanging out. Looks like they got the boys together for a quarantine season.
Definitely does seem like that. It's definitely sad to see Yomps go. I'm also a pretty big Yomps fan, and it's sad to see him leave the team. But Brand Slam does look pretty promising here, so pretty excited to see what he can bring to the table in this game here today.
Yeah, he's coming hot off the bench from the Ascent roster, I believe, is who he was subbing for earlier this season. I have not been following the season the closest, my apologies, but and he also played Season 1 of RGL Invite and made playoffs with Meat Market on Demo, although I believe he's going to be making his debut on Scout tonight. But Brand Slam's one of those players that I think is kind of under the radar for a lot of players and kind of just showed up in Invite and was really, really good. Kind of a mechanical warlord. He can just kind of play everything at a really high level. So I'm excited to see Brand Slam play. I think he will bring a lot to this team. I mean, it's big shoes to fill, filling in for a player like Yomps, but I think if anybody can do it, then come out of nowhere and do it, I think Brand Slam's one of those players.
I definitely do agree. Like I said again, it is sad to see Yomps go. It was really cool to see him lead a team of his own for the first time in a while. Actually, first time ever, I believe, and see him play the class that I think he prefers, especially over Soldier. And it was definitely interesting to see Froyo have to bring in a new Pocket as well, but they, again, are still unstoppable. But, you know, I guess that's just kind of how it is nowadays, but...
Yeah, times change, and it happens every few seasons that Froyo has a little bit of a roster shuffle. It's one player in, one player out. A little bit different this season. They have a couple players in, couple players out. As we are going to be going live. Do you have any players you think are going to be big impact players on these mids, Jakey?
On these mids, I definitely think there's a chance that Zilly or Marm could actually do a lot of work in here, especially if they end up doing early bombs. But I guess we're just going to have to see what goes on here. And so it looks like both teams are just easing into mid right now, both just playing on their side. Not really picking which side they're deciding to go yet. But we do see... let's see. Rakuso end up doing a bomb there, but he does end up getting out. Marmaloo ends up getting Chunky, and they end up trading for both Zilly and Marmaloo. So now they're down to, and Dorsia is actually caught up in their choke right now. Gonna try and have to salvage this. They do. Both their scouts do have, and they actually are forcing them of mid right now. But it looks like Hayes actually did end up getting behind them, but he does end up trying to get back out, and this is a secured mid for Dorsia.
Yeah, and that mid really came down to the trade. Marmalou getting chunky was very, very important because in a prolonged engagement, having a demo is much more important than having two soldiers. The soldiers provide that burst damage, but a demo is going to provide a lot more damage in a longer engagement. As we are going to see some shenanigans in the IT area. Ash is going to trade out for Rakusa, as he actually have the Shamu spy, so I really like this timing from Shamu. I don't know if he was spotted or not, but we are going to see the bomb in on the Sky. Ooh, really good rocket on the soldier there. But Marmalou is going to bomb in, find some decent damage into Sky, but not able to find that the force in Sky this time, as it looks like Shamu's going to go back to spawn. Yeah, Shamu's going to go back to spawn. I think he's just going to switch back to Sky. We're going to see the counter sack from Rakusa, who just gets shut down and choked. Again, I think this is kind of the meta that we're seeing from teams on Process, with this really fast-paced exchange of players, like just kind of sacking into the other team. And it looks like Marmalou, okay, he's not going to walk out to spawn a spy. I was going to say, I think Marmalou's on the same page as Shamu, where he's going to go spy early, but we're not going to see that.
Definitely does look like it is settling back into another stalemate here, even after those picks, but it looks like they're actually ending up, Dorsia's ending up rotating through
Marmalou's
IC
in from
here.
Joe? Oh, Sky is so weak!
Actually does a lot of damage, but he does end up getting picked off, and Sky, even with the very low health, actually ends up milking the Uber, and might actually be able to hold on to this point here, and it actually does look like it is settling into another stalemate here, but both scouts on the side of Microwave are in IT right now. They actually ended up backing out right now. It looks like, again, it's settling into another stalemate, but it looks like they're taking their heels into sewer right now. Looks like,
yeah, and Sky was 23 HP after she took the fall damage there, so a moment of very extreme danger. A couple pistol shots from across the map, or any rocket from Marmalou would have ended up killing her, but very good movement, was able to stay out of the sight lines of the scout and choke, and was able to dodge that last rocket from Marmalou and hold on to that Uber. As it looks like we're going to see some pressure here from Dorsia. It looks like they're trying to make some space here on grass. Soldier's going to bomb in. Hayes going to find a ton of damage into Ash, who's sticky out. Shamu's going to come in to save him, but they're not able to get the counter frag on the other side of things, so it's going to be 2 down here. Hayes is going to go down, and 3 down for the side of Dorsia, so maybe overstaying their welcome in this Al-Qaeda area, as Shamu's actually going to get in and get the force, so it's going to be on Yite here to see if he can get anything, but he's just going to whiff all of his pipes. He's going to go down here shortly to phone.
Does look like Yite ended up beefing that jump there and actually did end up getting caught out in a really unfortunate situation, but that is going to be a really bad push by Dorsia, and it looks like they're getting forced out of mid here. There's a scout. Phone ends up going down, and Ashley ends up going down as well. It looks like
so unfortunate for... Oh, they actually are going to get the force here. I didn't see what happened. I'm going to guess that Ash got in and got that one, along with the help of Marmalou. Marmalou's going to go down, but Phone ate an upwards direct. Kind of got rolled by Marmalou, even though Phone saw Marmalou hiding in the corner, and he had no idea he was there, but Marm hit him with the 180, like, upwards direct. So that's so unfortunate from Phone, especially because he got launched straight up and just died to the scattergun shot.
Definitely unfortunate there. So it looks like both teams, again, are settling into another stalemate. It seems pretty regular on this map nowadays. But looks like we're just waiting for another counter sack. Looks like Zilly might try going in for a bomb here through Al-Qaeda. Does try doing a lots of spam, but it doesn't look like he's trying to do anything with it. It looks like they're rotating their heels into another push from sewer. Ash is trying to supply a lot of, at least make some space right now. They end up jumping in. Marm is trying to get some good damage, ends up actually getting pushed back out here. Now they're still sitting in Al-Qaeda and trying to milk it here, but looks like they're getting forced back out and back into another stalemate here with no picks traded.
Yeah, and it almost looked like they went for like a dry engagement. They were trying to push off the really small Uber advantage, but when you're pushing off a really small Uber advantage and you're trying to take it for free, it comes down to a lot about your soldiers staying healthy, and both of them were really smart because they ate the damage. They didn't overcommit. As we are going to see, they can take their heels into IT. The double soldier spam is going to pick off Rakuso here, so one less set of eyes on the IT area and one less spam class. Becomes increasingly more dangerous as players start to dwindle. We're going to see the soldier in from the choke, bombing in to make space, but just staring down the business end of 2 scatterguns. Zilly's going to bomb in, trying to find some space. He's always not going to make it out. Hayes with the good counter jump's going to follow up, but Hayes is going to pay for that one. Ash is going to come in and hit him with the clean 2 shots. As Phone's going down so weak, Marmal is in as well. Not able to find the force. Both teams just trading positioning here, as Ash is going to go down. So, 3 up on the side of Dorsia. This is go time for the Microwave. We gotta turn it on here, and yeah, they're gonna shred Yite here. They are gonna get the force, as it looks like it's gonna be up to Branson to make anything happen, but it looks like he's just gonna opt to leave. Favors his chances trying to just get out.
Yeah, it does look like that was another botched push. I feel like Dorsia has been having a really hard time trying to push into that second there, and let's see if Microwave can make that difference. They can push into here and they can actually get
they
good damage,
phone.
but they end up dropping phone there in that Uber just barely right before they pop. But they do end up using Uber and end up taking this point, forcing Dorsia back out of here. They are. It looks like they're still, or Marmalu's trying to get in, trying to get really good damage on their medic. Ends up actually killing a lot of their players. Yite getting really good pipes in and end up killing 2 of their players. Chunky stays in and ends up getting dropped by Ash, and now they're able to take mid again. Might even be able to roll this to second here. And they actually end up dropping Sky really late. That's going to be really bad for them, especially on their last holds. They're going to try and stack here to deny, but they end up only denying 3 people. They do end up getting forward holds, but I think they're going to try backing up here. They're hiding a heavy in the forward spawns, actually. Probably going to try and go for a force here. But it's full Uber ad, and it looks looking pretty good on the side of Dorsia right now.
Yeah, Dorsia was able to recontest there. They threw Marmalu in as kind of just to draw eyes, and they were able to draw so many eyes away from the doorways that they basically got in completely for free to refight second, and some nice DM from Yite, even though they were on the low ground. As looks like they're going to be taking this lobby area. They're going to use through the forward. They're going to take down the sentry gun here, as they're going to climb up on the right side. So they've got the stickies off point. Pressure on the point coming in from Ash, as the player's got to come in to recontest. It looks like Chunky's trying to relay the stickies, but Branson's going to come in and clean it up. They're going to have to start committing bodies to the point with no projectile classes there to spam it. And it's going to be 1-0 to start it off here for Dorsia.
Really good push from them on that last right there. They were able to get and take high ground really effectively, and Microwave was not able to hold on to it. They just basically just gave it up to them for free the second they started taking it. So it definitely made it a lot easier on them to hold that high ground and able to win that last for them there.
Yeah, and we're going to be going into the second mid. It looks like both shoulders, both armies going to be going for a fast rollout, taking the pack instead of their demos. But it looks like Dorsia is finding a lot more damage early with their spam, as we're going to see Zilly get hard denied in the air from trying to go for a high bomb. He's going to try his hand at it, but he's going to overcommit here. His team really is in a position to follow up. Finds a good rocket into Brand Slam, but that's all he's really going to find. Brand Slam's going to get healed up on this one, and it looks like another mid here for Dorsia.
The control point is being contested.
That was a very good push. Luckily, though, for Microwave, Sky was able to get out along with Chunky, so it might be a little bit easier for them to hold this last year as long as Chunky can survive this. But it does look like Marm tried bombing in and tried getting a pick on Sky there, but Sky does end up getting in the spawn, and Marm actually ends up getting out alive as well. So now it's looking like it's settling into another stalemate here, pushing into this last for Dorsia.
Yeah, and that was good game time decision making for Marm. He jumped into last, but as soon as he saw Sky was too far back, just turned around, didn't want to overcommit, and he went for a 2-man there with Ash, but it looks like Microwave was far too ready for it. They were already set up on last. We're going to see the counter sack in from Rakuso, who's going to jump in, but he's just going to strafe out after getting hard denied from the scout, so it looks like they're going to miss out on their opportunity for a counter sack here.
I am excited to see what Rakuso can do on this sniper. I haven't really seen much of it yet, seeing as how it's been Stalemate City, but he hasn't had a whole lot of opportunity to try it out, so I'm hoping to see really good stuff from him. But Marmalu comes in, tries getting a good pick, but he doesn't realize the sentry's there, but he actually ends up getting the dropping there, but Zilly does end up getting the pick, or getting the destruction on the sentry there. But they're down 2 here. Oh, go ahead.
Ash was able to surf the spam from the sentry gun and just surfed in disguise, so even though Marmalu wasn't going to get anything out of the thing alone, that's why you send the second player in. And that's kind of what we've seen from the meta developing out of Sacks over the last couple of years, is it's so hard when teams are prepared for just a single soldier sack, but if you throw that extra player in there, another soldier or a scout, just to help incentivize that medic to pop, especially when you have really good movement like what Ash did, just surfing the damage from the sentry gun and to get in really deep.
Now, it does look like they're going to use in here. Heavy, they're all playing high ground. Microwave is playing high ground very well here, but they're not doing really anything to deny the point. They get really good cap time, but both soldiers bomb onto the point. Both really weak here, taking a lot of damage. They both end up getting cleaned up, and Yite actually hitting really good damage on the Heavy. Heavy ends up going down here. Now it's 3. Now they're down 3. Microwave is down 3. They actually end up dropping their medic, and their soldier's really weak. Marmalu hits a really good shot on Hayes. insane air shot right there, ended up destroying him, and now it looks like we're settling into the third mid fight of the...
Yeah, and that was a 2-for-1 rocket for Marble. That was not only a nasty air shot, but he claimed 2 frags with that rocket. That was clean. You know, even though Yomps isn't on this Dorsia team, it's still, you know, I think there's a lot of stock invested when you have a player like Marmalou on your roster. He's such a good soldier. So it's very exciting to see him play, as we are going to be going into our third mid. As we'll see if Dorsia can keep up what they're doing on these mids.
Definitely is interesting to see Marmalou play nowadays, especially just because of how good they are. And Microwave actually ends up almost wiping here on mid. Shamu ends up being the only one alive. He ends up getting out. He actually ends up being behind them in their choke, trying to draw eyes right now. And he actually ends up getting Marmalou. Actually ends up getting Marmalou and Zilly. Actually, one of the most insane players of all time. Actually ends up getting both of those picks with extremely low health.
Pardon my French, but Zilly dropped a god his ass in chat. Oh, that's so funny. Despite the fact that Shamu wins the 2v1 against both soldiers after face checking both of them and ending crazy V shots. That's insane coming up from Shamu, but that's really funny from Zilly.
Exactly, and you hate to see that happen to Marm, especially right after he hits that god rocket, but it looks like they are starting to move into lobby here. Now, Rakuso actually drops Brand Slam right before they're about to Uber in. They go in, Yite drops the sentry, drops Rakuso as well, but Ash actually ends up going down to Haze. Looks like really scrappy here, but they actually, Microwave actually ends up clutching that, and Cookie Jake is just not able to get out of that alive. Zilly might be able to get out. He actually gets 2 frags, and he gets Sky and Chunky right before he goes down, which actually is honestly probably the thing that's going to save them this midpoint right here.
Yeah, and even though Microwave hasn't really figured out their mids, Dorsia has been pretty dominant on the mids. They've actually finally figured out how to hold their last, which is really important because process last can be really, really hard to push. And if you're making adaptations on the fly like this, is exactly what you want to see out of the team like the Microwave, because they are, you know, behind 2-0 in this match. You don't want to go down 3-0 in that first half. That's such a huge hill to climb, but I think especially if you don't lose the half 3-0 when you're in the first half, it's like, all right, 2 rounds, you know, especially with 17 minutes on the clock, there's plenty of time to do things. I feel like that third round's a huge mental boom for a lot of teams, so keeping up 2-0 I think is really important for the Microwave here.
I definitely agree. I think it's definitely a lot better on your mental health or your mental game, as well as if you're able to finally adapt your strategy and see it work. I think it's definitely helping them with their confidence in this match as well, which is a huge part of this. And it does look like they're going to send Zillion, but he ends up getting counter jumped by Kudo, and Chunky actually ends up getting Zilly right there. And it looks like it's just turning into a DM fest right now, and as Dorsia tries to move their heels outside of Sewer right now, and it looks like it's actually settling back into another stalemate again, even though Zilly went down right there. But it looks like Rakuso is trying to get through IT, but he actually ends up backing out here, and again, it looks like it's settling into another stalemate, but Marmalou actually ends up getting in. He's trying to get really good damage. He actually gets really good damage, gets the force on Sky, and Yite actually hits a really good pipe on Haze. And now with that, they have full Uber ad, and they're able to, as soon as Marmalou and Yite are back in the game, they're going to be able to refight here and possibly take second here if they're smart about it.
Yeah, but they are able to generate 2 positive picks. It's almost what you call a good Uber in some cases, an invite. They are going to be in on this mid, but it's going to come up to Dorsia to try and make something happen. They have to buy enough time for their spawns to come in. They're going to use their Uber to do exactly that. Their spawns are going to get in, but health is not exactly good on the side of Dorsia. Opportunity for a repush here for the Microwave, but doesn't look like they fancy it. Don't have the positioning to give up on the midpoint, as we're going to see Zilly bomb in, but both the soldiers go down. Everybody's so weak on the side of the Microwave, but if they can get healthy here, this is a really good engagement for them, especially because how weak Yite is. He's not really able to contest the choke. And yeah, it looks like they're going to fancy their chances trying to get into mid here off the back of that. The soldiers are going to come up off the respawn, so they need to make something happen fast before the soldiers come in. And they are going to do exactly that. They're going to lock the other team out of choke. So they are going to take mid, and they're going to have about a 30% Uber advantage to work with here.
This is starting to look pretty bad for Dorsia here, especially with the third Uber ad. If they're able to use in right here with their ad, they might actually be able to get some good damage, but it doesn't look like they're actually going to try. So Dorsia is starting to play a little bit more aggressive here. They're moving into more of an aggressive hold here now that it's even Ubers. But Marm actually ends up taking a lot of damage. and we actually see Rakuso getting a really good getting a rocket on Marmalou, dropping him. Ash actually getting a 2K on Rakuso and on Shamu, and now it's actually looking like to be able to push out of the second here. They're down 2 right now, and they have full Uber. They might end up using in here. Marmalou is Zilly is actually in right now, trying to get really good damage. Actually, Brandslab ends up getting chunky right there. Really good pick on his side. Zilly ends up going down. Yite ends up getting a really good pill on Hayes, and Brandslam ends up getting phone as well. Drop 3 players in that, and now they're able to actually take the second here. Brandslam is in. They end up using their Uber here, going to try and get the force. They actually end up getting the force, and now Sky is trying to recover from this and force them back out, but they're going to have to back up to last year, more than likely. But it actually looks like their spawners are here, and now it's going to settle into another stalemate again.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't stack the mid actually makes it so the spawners for the microwave are going to happen in the forwards. So by the time that exchange ended, they were getting 3 forward spawns. There's maybe an opportunity to fight that if they had more players to stack, but they just didn't have more players. You needed the exact amount of players they had going forward, so they really couldn't afford to leave anybody behind to help stack the cap. It's a little bit unfortunate, but we are once again going to see the mid to 2 stalemate with Dorsia holding mid. They do have about a 20% advantage. I'm curious to see if they'll try and make something happen off it, because on a map like Process, it's really easy just to, you know, alright, be like, have a demo, throw 2 stickies down at his feet and choke, pop your Uber, and just have him yeet himself into the other team. And it looks like they're trying to go IT off it, but it looks like they've waited a little too long. They're really basically pushing off a 5 ad, and Sky's already going to have your Uber, but it looks like they're going to make space for the soldier to jump in from choke. Gonna find a bunch of damage into Rakuso, but not gonna be able to find the frag, and Ash is gonna join Marmalou once again, the classic 2-man we've been seeing all night from Dorsia.
Definitely was a good attempt by them, but they didn't end up, they took, like you were saying, they took a little bit too long to actually apply that pressure, and Microwave was able to set up with their set, and they actually, Rakuso actually ends up getting the force there, and now it's actually gonna be a really bad situation here for Dorsia. It looks like Brandslam is trying to do a little bit of pressure making right there, but Yite is going to have to set up some traps and honestly play a little bit more passive here, especially at basically full Uber disad.
Yeah, he's just trying to put some stickies up in the choke, make it that much harder for a team to try and push through choke. It's really the only opportunity you have on Process to try and take something for free, being the sewer and IT doors being so small. They're going to opt to try and go IT, but they're going to be forced to use their Uber through here. And it looks like it's going to be a really successful kite here for Dorsia. They're only going to find a couple 100 points of damage spread across the team, but, you know, no frags to be found. And Cookie Jake's already at 90%, so by the time they get this cap, Cookie Jake's going to be up on his Uber and it's going to be repush territory here.
Definitely was a really good kite by Dorsia. They're able to actually, not like you were saying, not take any damage, but it does look like they're starting to push in a little bit here, milking a little bit. But we do see Rakuso get in and end up getting the force there, but they do bomb Yite in here, trying to get some stickies on Hayes, but Hayes ends up getting out as well, and now it looks like they're trying to set up right here, back onto the midpoint, and both teams actually ended up kiting really well, even though Rakuso ended up going down for that force. Both teams ended up living with lots of health, and it looks like it's just going to be leapfrog after leapfrog at this point.
Yeah, and this is what you want to see out of the microwave. Like I said, it looks like they're making some good mid-game adaptations. I don't know when they found time to have a team talk, but obviously somebody on the team said, hey, this is an issue, we need to fix it with this, and it's working for them. You know, they started off kind of rough in the first couple of rounds, but they've definitely made some adaptations to make it a lot closer in the third round. They are going to lose Shamu really early in this fight, and they're going to get their Uber first. They lose Hayes as well. Oh, this is not looking good. Dorsia is able to find so much damage with their spam, as well as they're able to find that opening pick on a Shamu with that. And yeah, instantly, Chunky's going to be the first one to die. They way overstayed their welcome at this midpoint.
I definitely agree with that one. And Shamu, I think, ends up actually back in their lobby, and it looks like he's trying to back up to 5 here and ends up getting out. So Dorsia is going to get this point for free and actually has 100% Uber ad. So it looks like they're actually going to push in through 4. They end up using in here. Marmalou is in, and he does really good damage on Shamu and actually ends up getting clean. And Shamu actually ends up getting cleaned up. Hayes also ends up going down to Yite, and actually Yite ends up getting a really good pill on Chunky as well.
Oh,
people are exchanging.
Cookie Jake's fighting a 1v1 on last against Sky, but they're gonna phone an honorable man. I think big shout out to Phone for being honorable, going for the melee. But yeah, Cookie Jake claiming a frag with the head, the solemn bow on Van this season.
This entire game has been air shot after air shot, in all honesty, especially on the last points. For some reason, there's always been some insane salvage plays by these players. hitting the insane shots they need to clutch on those last pushes there.
Then yeah, I think both these teams have some phenomenal DM players on both teams. I know we talked about Marmalou a little bit, but I think that Hayes and Rakusa on the other side of things are no slouch. I think all 4 scouts in this game have just monstrous DM. So especially in a map like Process that people are all very comfortable on, because you know, considering it's 2020, everybody plays Process like every other week when you're bugging. Lots of really strong DM players on both teams. It's very exciting to watch a map like Process.
It definitely is. Especially seeing as how it is a scout map, it is good to see both scouts go good. But Microwave actually ends up pushing in here. They do end up dropping Rakuso here. Looks like they're trying to do a little bit of cleanup, but they actually end up getting forced here. Actually end up dropping Chunky as well. And Marmalou gets behind and actually ends up dropping Hayes. He does end up getting cleaned up, but their Uber is honestly really bad. And now Cookie Jake is able to walk in here for free, but he does end up dropping Yite, Marmalou, and Ash here. Has to use on Brandslab and has to use on Zilly, but they do end up taking the second point for free, and it's actually settling back into more even Ubers here. Both teams ended up dropping a lot of players in those Ubers, but it ended up working in Dorsia's favor.
Yeah, Sky got forced coming into mid, which isn't the worst thing in the world considering they had a small advantage, but they didn't really like hard commit to it. They kind of, you know, stuck around and choke a little bit too long, and then the DM fight got really messy on second just because of the positioning of Cookie Jake, but that really late Uber coming out makes it so there's just no opportunity for them to win that DM fight. The last couple of players, you know, invulnerable for about 6 seconds between the two, but it looks like they're trying to try push into 5 here. Trying to find some space. They are going to lose Marmalou as he sacks into last, and they're going to lose Ash as well. Again, the 2 men we've been seeing from them all night.
They haven't... Marmalou was really good at actually kiting for that sentry there, but he did end up getting cleaned up. Like you were saying, the 2-man has actually been working pretty well, but it didn't end up working in that situation, and Rakuso actually ends up going down to Brand Slam there. It looks like both teams are just starting to fight on the second point. Brand Slam's hitting really good damage, but Rakuso actually ends up, Phone actually ends up getting forced on there. Cookie Jake has a better Uber here, pushing them back into their last here. They actually end up getting circled. Marmalou goes down in 1. They actually end up dropping a lot of players all at once right there. But Zilly trying to clean up, or trying to salvage and trying to cap that last point, but does end up going down to Hayes, and that is a take back for Team Microwave.
Yeah, Microwave's going to get their second, but I think they're going to struggle to try and push into mid here just because Sky's got a much longer spawn than Cookie Jake. She ended up dying a little bit later, and Cookie Jake is going to come to mid a little bit quicker just because of how the spawns work in this game. They have spawn advantage on the mid. They're going to be trading a couple of frags. They're going to trade Roamer for Roamer here, but it looks like Microwave, yeah, they know it's time to leave. Sky's going to be meeting up with them in choke, and a clean couple pipes from Chunky to take down Brand Slam in the choke, but everybody on the side of Microwave is so weak. Looks like, again, we're going to see things kind of settle down here. There are 2 down on the side of Dorsia, so it looks like Microwave wants to try and get it from the choke, but Hayes is going to be punished, not able to make enough space for his team.
Shamu actually ends up getting Yite there somehow. I don't even know how he ended up getting Yite there in that situation.
Yeah, looks like Microwave's going to actually successfully take mid off the back of that, so I think that's a really good play from Shamu, recognizing that Yite was kind of isolated and was able to get in, hit a couple of clean shots. I want to say he just ran across the point at Yite. Yite was kind of just spamming across the point, and Shamu just took 185 and ran at him.
Definitely was a good play by Shamu, and we do see Rakuso get in and actually drop Cookie Jake with a really good rocket. Actually ends up honestly making this an even better push for Sky, but Sky does end up dropping Phone and Rakuso. We see Marmalou trying to get the salvage as well. Same with Zilly, but Sky is able to kite it really well, and they're going to be able to take this third point and might actually be able to even roll into last here. We're going to have to see what Dorsia can do to try and hold this point and try and salvage that drop there.
Yeah, very clean play coming out of Rakuso. It's exactly what I want to see. Again, I think the longer that this game has gone on, the better that Microwave has looked just in every aspect of their gameplay. They've kind of just been turning up. It's going to be interesting to see if they can continue this momentum to try and even it up here, as they do have an opportunity to try and make something happen in the last game. But a 75% advantage, and it looks like Ash and Brand Slam are trying to shore up the defenses here. The classic sniper and engineered defense. They're going to pop through 4. They're going to instantly take down the sentry. There's no stickies on point, but Phone's going to instantly die. Both holders jumped in.
Marmalou destroyed Phone in that.
Oh,
he's been hitting
Zilly.
God arrows, or God rockets. Getting juggled. Brand Slam is just destroying on heavy, ends up cleaning up everybody on the map right there. Very, very, very clutch last hold from Dorsia there, especially with that really good rocket from Marmalou hitting Phone mid-air, like jumping on top of him and hitting a downwards air shot, actually destroying him there, and actually, honestly, probably clutching that last hold for them with that play.
Yeah, both the soldiers from Dorsia coming up huge on that. They're going to be pushing into mid here. They think the micro is a little too overextended, so they're going to throw their demo man into this, but they are going to find Shamu, and they're going to find a ton of damage into their flank here as well, but does not look like they're going to secure any of the frags on the flank here, so Phone and Rakusa are going to make it out this time. They're going to be trying to pressure the choke here, knowing they have that player advantage, but Sky's already at 90%, so again, we're going to be stuck in the leapfrog on over the point of mid here. As it looks like, yeah, they're going to try and take this for free. They baited people IT, and now they're going to rotate choke here. Zaylee's going to go down for free. He finds a little bit of damage into Phone and Haze, but not going to find either of those frags. It looks like Marmaloo's in behind along with Ash, so again, this is exactly what we saw before, where both these players got behind and just created havoc. Looks like Ash is getting the better of the 1v1 versus Shamu here, but it's going to be so tense on the point. Ash is going to win. He starts the back cap, and the other guy's going to come in and join him. Brand Slam's there with him. So it looks like they kind of sold out their players on mid, and they're both going to be going to last. Oh, Ash is so weak, but spawns aren't going to be up. It's going to be 3-0 here for Dorsia that win out the first half.
Very unfortunate there for, who was the scout that Shamu, was it Shamu that?
It was Shamu.
Shamu. So yeah, he ended up dropping there, and Brand Slam was actually really weak there. It was honestly enough to get just chip damage, and he would have died there, but just a really good play by him.
Ash was 4 HP, and so I mean that was such a tense scout 1v1, but you got to win those at the end of the day, and it's exactly what.
Definitely is really important for those two, for you to win those, especially in that situation where you're trying to stop the back cap and you're the only spawner up to and able to stop that. And even if he would have won that, I don't think he would have actually won against Ash, seeing as how Ash came up pretty much right after Brand Slam did win that fight. So even if Phone or Shamu would have won that, I honestly don't think that he would have been able to save it necessarily for the last push. I think Brand Slam probably could have won that as well, but you know, like you were saying, at the end of the day, they do really have to win those. But you know, sometimes you beef. Sometimes that's just how it is.
Yeah, as a wise man once said, sometimes you nut, sometimes you don't nut. It really do be that way. I mean, this is a pretty your aim matters a lot in a game like TF2, and sometimes you're hitting your shots, sometimes you're not. So, and the game favors the consistent players, and Ash is able to win that one. Ash, very tenured scout, more known for his soldier as of recent, but for all the new viewers out there, Ash was actually a world champion on Scout. He won I-55, which is debatably one of the most competitive TF2 tournaments to ever exist. He won that tournament on Combo Scout. Playing Flank Scout here is, I believe, Brand Slam is playing a little more of a Combo Scout role, as Ash seems to be trying to make things happen with Marmalou on the flank, but his plays looked excellent tonight. I think it's been one of the bigger difference makers for me, at least in the eye test versus Shamu. Has Ash been, with especially with how synced up he's been with Marmalou, just I mean, they've been kind of throwing the two-mans at them all night, but especially in these transition plays where the microwave tries to make something happen with an Uber advantage, they're finding ways behind, they're starting back caps, and just make it very hard for the microwave to clearly do anything.
I definitely think that, in my opinion, I think the flank on Dorsia is probably their strongest feature. Marmalou and Ash both just very classic and all-star players, and just DM gods are honestly probably the main reason they've been able to get away with so much shenanigans in the back lines and in the and being able to get so many good forces on their medic and actually able to get a lot of really good pushes on their lasts. So I definitely think that Ash and Marmalou are the all-star players on this team.
Yeah, and I know I had a couple questions about Brand Slam making his I want to say this is one of the first times he's ever played Scout in Invite. I know he's maybe subbed here or there, but how's that? We're actually going to get baited here for the ready up as somebody's lagged out of the server, but it gives me an opportunity to talk about Brand Slam, because from taking a peek at the logs, Brand Slam's having an absolutely phenomenal game. He's 20-5 and is top damaging in the server. you know, I mean, this is a game that's dominated by scouts in 2020 with how good scouts are, but Brand Slam showing exactly why he's the scout pickup to fill the shoes of Yomps. And like I said in the pregame, you know, I think he kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people and kind of just came out of nowhere and was just phenomenally good. And you know, I think he's really proved his worth. I mean, he's top damaging in the server, and this isn't even his main; he's a demo main.
I definitely have heard a lot of amazing things about Brand Slam, and if you look at his stats on the roster, he actually does have the highest average kills on Dorsia's team, and it's actually when I saw that, I was actually kind of surprised that he had more average kills than Ash, and I was actually really excited to see him this game. So it's really good to see Brand Slam pulling his weight and actually, in my opinion, doing even more so. I definitely think that he is probably one of the best players along with Ash and Marmalou on this team.
Yeah, we're just going to be waiting for the teams to go live, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's really tough to lose a half 3-0 and to kind of mentally stay in a game like this. You know, I like 2-0, and especially when you have time to work with, isn't as bad, but I think 3-0 going into the second half, the other team just has such a huge advantage. They don't have to take those risks that you would normally have to take. They can play a lot more safe and conservative style, and really only push when they very obviously have an advantage. Whereas on the side of the microwave, they need to change things, and they need to, you know, figure out how to make the riskier plays work. And I think that's going to start with figuring out how to shut down Ash and Marmalou in the transition plays.
I definitely agree, and as we start to move into the second mid, I also agree with that to the point where this map is so stalematy that making those risky plays is honestly the main reason you're able to get in. So we're definitely going to have to see some interesting things on the side of microwave. So as we move into this second mid here, it does look like Marmalou is hitting some pretty good rockets on Rakuso. Actually ends up getting in pretty deep for free, just waddling towards Sky. Actually ends up getting really good rockets. Rakuso doing a bomb actually ends up getting caught out there and dies. Chunky actually hitting really good stickies, ends up getting Zilly, and Hayes actually ends up getting Brand Slam and Yite there. Chunky hitting another really good pipe on Marmalou. Ash is able to get a pick, but he has to run Cookie Jake out to last here, and hopefully able to, at least with the even Ubers, hopefully able to hold this last year.
And yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see out of Dorsia. Even though they didn't win that mid, whatever they talked about at the halftime for the microwave obviously worked for them, at least on this first mid of the second half. But very crucial that Cookie Jake makes it out. Again, I think Ash and Cookie Jake showing their tenure, despite the fact that that mid went pretty wrong for them at a certain point. They were in a position that they were still able to leave while still being in a position to support their team. And it makes it a lot better for them on last. You'd rather stalemate on last than make it so you're trying to defend last with full Uber disadvantage. And we're going to see if the microwave's able to make anything happen. I know we saw glimpses of the Rakuso sniper earlier, but Phone's also a beast of a sniper on this team. Yeah, he's going to run in from the 5. I guess the Yite down to just 1 HP. Very unfortunate he's not able to find that pick. And I fully expect Phone to come up on an off class, probably the sniper here.
Zilly actually ends up getting another pick on Rakuso, and now that they're down 2, they might actually want to push in here, as we do see Bran actually switch off of Engineer there and actually switches back over. Looks like they're going to try taking this Uber through 1. We do see Shamu get the pick on Zilly in rollout, and they do actually end up having to back up here now that they know that they're down a player. And like you were saying, they're definitely a lot more comfortable. They're able to settle into these stalemate situations and not have to worry about taking risks when they're up this 3 advantage. So you definitely are seeing that when they lose, even just actually ends up getting the pick on Yite. Really good, really crucial.
Oh, he's in
there
from 5. He's just Cookie Jake. Oh, he gets the body shot. The soldier ate that for him. That was so dangerous. Gonna be the pop here out of Cookie Jake, but players are on last. They're just capping the point. No, Shamu.
And the taunt comes out from Shamu.
Oh, that was so good. They got the pick on the soldier, and they didn't know that Phone was on sniper, so not only were they down a spam class to try and check the sniper in the choke point, that was so good from Phone, and he got the pick that you want. Getting a demo pick's probably the best thing you can get on Process Last outside of a straight medic pick, but Shamu just pushed the flank and was able to run into last.
That was definitely, honestly, probably the reason they were able to push into that last and honestly carried them. But Hayes hitting really good rockets, killing Zilly and Yite with that. Phone also killing Brand and Shamu cleaning up Marmalou there. I definitely agree with the fact that they were able to get their act together and able to work on their mids. At least in that halftime, they were able to talk about what they need to do on their mids, and it's been working out really well for them. And luckily, Cookie Jake was able to get out, and Sky actually ended up going down on that mid, so they do have Uber dis at about 50 to be, or 60 to be exact, but it is looking like a better situation for Dorsia here, even though they were able to push into their second.
Yeah, and it looks like Dorsia is going to fancy their odds, knowing that they have their heals there first. Cookie Jake staying alive is able to push out as soon as they have players. Hayes is going to overstay his welcome on the second point here, as Zilla's going to get traded out in response here, but they're also going to take down Shamu, so 2 down on the side of the microwave, along with the Uber disadvantage. They're just trying to pressure into the second here a little bit, seeing if they can make any opportunities for Kuso here, but they're not going to find that one, as they're going to need to put their spawners. Cookie Jake and Co are going through the IT area. Looks like they're going to take this one through, going to use through, going to bomb their demo in, but it looks like everybody in the microwave is way too far out.
Marmalou does end up getting a pick on Rakuso there, but like you were saying, they were able to kite that really well. Even with that one pick, Sky does have an 80 Uber ad here, and they're able to honestly just walk back in here as soon as they get their, they don't even have to necessarily wait for Rakuso, but I think they're gonna opt to doing so. We do end up seeing Hayes bomb in here, trying to get some spam. He's looking like he's starting to waddle. He's debating whether or not he should jump, but once Brand Slam starts pressuring him, he does end up jumping out here. Ash ends up getting some really good spam, or let's see, Marmalou ends up getting really good spam on the flank there, but they do end up using through IT here. Bombing in their soldier, hits a really good speed shot. It might end up catching out Ash here, but he does end up getting out and ends up actually getting chased back in. And it does look like another leapfrog from Dorsia here.
Yeah, and that was so good, despite the fact that the microwave had such a huge Uber advantage. Ash again, Marmalou once again, they push the flank, and the microwave is so afraid of them getting value out of pushing their flank that they went back for him, and they were able to buy Cookie Jake enough time to get his Uber. So now they're on the repush here. Hayes again overstays his welcome just a little bit, but they don't get the force onto Cookie Jake. I think the big difference in this game so far has been Cookie Jake's been able to get value out of these like transitions where they just take something for free, whereas Sky's had to use every single time.
I definitely agree with that. I think that, like I was saying earlier, I think that Marmalou and Ash on the flank are honestly probably some of the best players on their team, and I think that Microwave is acknowledging that a little bit too much and actually starting to fear them a little bit. And now we actually see the repush from Microwave end up Ubering and do end up getting the force on Cookie Jake, but it does end up turning into a pretty bad Uber here, as seeing as how they're going to run out of Uber and actually end up dropping 3 players. Yite ends up dropping Sky there. Marm gets a really good flank and ends up dropping 2 of their players as well. It's just Chunky on this last, and he's not able to hold it, and that is round 4 for Dorsia.
Yeah, and I think Chunky's positioning tells the entire story of that Uber exchange. It was a very risky Uber exchange to go for, but there really just wasn't a full set game plan there. I mean, Chunky was in no position to support his team. They got in, but there was no like, hey, we're going to leave through this door, or we're going to end our Uber here. And Chunky's positioning, I think, is a telltale sign that he was just nowhere to be found for that post-Uber to give them any opportunity for that post-fight.
I definitely agree with that, and Marmalou had a really good flank and hits really good damage on the whole group of them getting caught out in upper lobby, but we do see Brand Slam actually end up getting Sky, and then Zilly actually ends up getting Chunky as well. They do end up actually getting stuck out behind in their sewer. Cookie Jake trying to do something with it, but Rakuso ends up getting the 2 picks. Zilly gets in, actually ends up cleaning up Rakuso, but it does look like a wipe on the side of Dorsia, and it's a free midpoint for on the side of Microwave.
Yeah, and that's so unfortunate. Sky's the first death on that mid, even though that Microwave is going to take this mid. It's not what you want to see. Losing your medic first is so hard to come back from on a mid. And Microwave, they have won. Sorry, talking to Shears there for a second, but yeah, I mean, it's so hard, but the way that they approached that mid fight was exactly how you have to do. If you lose your medic early, you have no sustain in a fight, so you have to just run at the other team. It's basically going to come down to like everybody load everything that you can in the next 4 or 5 seconds and just run at the other team. You have to win that fight very quickly. Yeah, and Sky is they're on the page of, hey, we're down 3 rounds, we gotta make something happen. So Sky's gonna break out the crit streak, so all eyes on Chunky here as she's coming up on this. But Cookie Jake's already at 90%. Chunky's gonna be peeking in from the Al-Qaeda area. Crit's gonna be popped, 93%.
Ends up dropping
Cookie Jake.
Oh no!
Oh, that was a beautiful sticky snipe. It's exactly what you want to see. Couple pipes onto Yite as well, and they're gonna clean up Zilly, who gets
And
air shot.
They're just
That
rolling
was
this into their
beautiful
last
from the
there, yeah.
microwave.
That
Hayes
was
is already on land.
definitely the most. That was definitely beautiful there. But why are they? They're not capping second here. This might actually turn kind of bad now that they're getting spawners. It might be a little bit hard to win this here, but they do end up getting the pick on Brand Slam and Yite. But Phone actually ends up going down. It's just. Ooh, we see Rakuso getting in. He's trying to do some damage. Zilly actually ends up clutching. Very unfortunate on their end. For some reason the cap stopped on second, and if that wouldn't have happened, they might have actually won that. But really unfortunate there. Maybe a lack of coordination or something on that end. But
yeah, they were just huge plays coming out across the board from the players at Dorsia. They were just able to find so many ways to stall the other team, and Ash is going to get in a 1v1 with Shamu. Shamu's going to get the pack, but Ash kills him anyway. Both scouts were pretty decently buffed, and again, the 1v1s on Scout, I think, are going back to the mental game here, to, like, if you're challenging somebody consistently in the flank as a flank scout and you're losing that, it's so hard to come back from. And, I mean, Shamu's tried it 2 or 3 different times and lost it. Both the soldiers going down from the microwave and Phone. They aren't even going to get a force out of Cookie Jake. They dropped 4 players for that. It's not what you want to see at all. This means that they can just leave 1 player on mid. They're just going to leave Marmalou, who's on that pain train, to cap up mid. And they have all the space in the world to push into second here.
definitely is looking like it might be a 5th round for Dorsia here, but we're going to have to see what they can do. They end up Ubering in here. There's no gun, no heavy to contest them. There's some sticks on point, but they actually end up trapping their point. The heavy actually ends up coming out of spawn. Yai is hitting really good damage on the heavy, but he is being tanked. Shamu trying to do something, ends up getting bombed, and now they're actually able to cap this last point pretty much for free, and really good push by Dorsia there, tying it or ending the game 5-1.
Yeah, and you know, this is a tough because I think the microwave, despite the fact that they're playing coming back from a couple of seasons off, and they're a pretty established team. You got to consider some of the tenure of the players on Dorsia and how good they really are. And I think just the experience across the board really showed in that match. They just seemed a little more composed on the side of Dorsia. They just knew what to do in more scenarios than not, and they seemed to have just more plans for the stuff that the microwave threw at them. And the microwave didn't really seem to be as prepared for, particularly Ash and Marmalou just kind of running at their flank.
I definitely think that Microwave did actually end up getting their act together, like I was saying earlier. With those mid-fights, they, like you were saying earlier, they must have come up with a really good strategy on that halftime, because they were winning their mids really consistently, and actually it was almost instant once they got in and once they got all their players, and they were able to almost wipe every mid-fight. But on that last push there, it looked like somehow Dorsia was able to stall them on the second, and actually that was actually the reason why I believe Microwave had a really rough time pushing in there. We did see, we did end up seeing, the Microwave's demo actually end up really good sticky bomb snipe there with the Kritzkrieg, and Chunky, yeah, end up hitting a really good sticky snipe there, and with the Kritzkrieg, it actually ends up dropping Cookie Jake, and was probably, in my opinion, the play of the game right there. Really good play by him.
That was just a gorgeous push across the board from the microwave, and that was textbook of how you play crits on process, pushing from mid to second. But and I think the microwave had some good glimpses of brilliance. Like I said, it just seemed like Dorsia was just a little more prepared across the board. I think the tenure of some of those players really showed. And, the microwave, they put it together a few times, and they looked really good on the mids in the second half. I think they won all 3 mids of the second half. But they just really weren't able to put it together, especially when pushing last. I think if they were, if they're going to go back to the drawing board, finding opportunities to push into last, and, when you are getting opportunities, making sure you're capitalizing on them.
I also do agree that the mental game was really important there, because like you were saying earlier, right before the first half ended, it was definitely a lot easier on Dorsia, and they were able to play the game at a lot more relaxed manner and not have to take as many risks. On one of those last holes, you could see that they ended up dropping Zilly, but even though they Only they ended up dropping Zilly, but even though they had full Uberad, they ended up just um, actually backing up and playing a little bit more relaxed, knowing that it would be much more beneficial to push later on when they have a guaranteed push rather than taking any risks.
And yeah, especially when, you're the microwave and you're down 3-0 in the second half, like I said, they're forced to kind of take risks. And again, Dorsia was just ready for all the things that they threw at them. And I don't know if we have the logs up on stream, and I think, it didn't really show as much in the eye test, but I think the huge difference maker when looking at the logs is Marmaloo, particularly in the second half. Like, Marmaloo top damages in the server, and he outfrags everybody on the microwave except Phone, who's the other team's combo scout, who he's only behind them by one frag, 31-32. So, even though there was really good damage coming out for the players in the microwave, the damage is only behind by about 2,000 damage, which over the course of 36 minutes, I mean, it's not to say it's not a damage differential, but it's kind of insignificant compared to the difference in frags, which, I mean, a difference of, 22 frags? It doesn't seem like a lot, but it looked like in a lot of the fights that Microwave was getting kills. They were getting a couple of kills that kind of traded out to start. I think, looking at the log and kind of going back on the big difference maker was that Marmaloo was finding frags and staying alive, whereas Rakusa was just kind of trading out a lot of the times.
Yeah, you definitely did see Rakusa playing a lot more on his bombs. Valued in that game, especially valued his life a lot more. He for bomb really he is his life for an Uber, but whenever he hit a bomb, he always went and played a lot smarter with his life and tried to do as much damage as possible in the life that he had, rather than hitting really good damage on one specific player. So I do agree that Marmaloo was able to live and end up getting a lot more frags, and actually on one of those last pushes there, he was able to wrap around Microwave and actually ended up getting really good rockets, and ended up actually getting a 2K, killing Sky and someone else. I can't remember who it was, but I remember him getting really good picks on one of his flank plays, and I do agree that he played a lot smarter with his life there.
Yeah, and I think, thinking about it too, especially from what we saw in the first half, I think it kind of shows the style differences between these two teams, where the Microwave kind of just throws Rakusu at the other team and it's like, all right, make something happen, whereas Dorsia is like trying to make things happen to give Marmaloo these opportunities to go huge. And in the first half, it's a lot of times you see like Marmaloo set up either in choke or IT to try and make something happen, and the rest of Dorsia goes sewer to try and draw eyes and try and make space for their team. And Zilly's bombing in first, whereas Hayes and co are kind of like taking position somewhere, and they're doing the same kind of thing, but they're not committing as much, and they're not, putting as much on the line. And the Microwave did a good job of punishing that in the first half, but in the second half, Dorsia kind of got their act together and was able to make a lot more space and just give Marmaloo opportunities to go huge.
I definitely agree, and I think that him and Ash on flank was honestly a really good combo. Seeing both of their double stacks in, I mean, we also saw the same thing from Microwave, but there was a lot more times that I saw it work out a lot in a lot better ways for Dorsia. I think that Ash and Marmaloo, like you were saying, because they're much more experienced, they have a lot more time on their like in the game, so they understand how to play with each other a lot more, and how to really complement each other as much as possible.
Yeah, and to kind of touch on that or to add on that as well, I think it was pretty obvious that either the communication, either before or in game, was a lot clearer for Marmaloo and Ash, because they seem to be on the same page when they're going for these plays. Whereas on the other side of things, you have Rakuso and Shamu going for things, and they seem to be a little more disconjointed. Their double stacks and stuff weren't as clean, and I don't know if it's just a communication issue in game, or if it's something that like Marmaloo and Ash talked about before the game, but they seemed a lot more on the same page just as a flank.
Definitely was a lot of fun to see them play as well, and it was really fun to see Brand Slam pull his weight and even do even more so, in my opinion. With him replacing Yomps, it definitely was a huge weight to carry, and there was a lot of eyes looking to him to see what he could do this game, and he actually ended up really proving himself, in my opinion, and did really well this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and especially in the first half, I mean, he top damage in the server, he top fragged in the server. Slowed down a little bit in the second half, but I think because I think the microwave maybe put a little more resources into trying to shut him down. He didn't have as stellar of a second half, but because they aren't allocating those resources to shutting down the flank, it just makes it so players like Marmalou and Ash are able to find more openings.
I definitely agree with that.
So I don't know if there's too much more to break down from these logs. I don't know if you have any more points you want to add.
Not much. The only thing I would say is that Crit's play was definitely the play to make on that game. It was unfortunate to see that they weren't able to capitalize.
I was gonna
it, but...
say, somebody we gotta hit up like Beater, one of the other editors for TFTV, because like I said, that was textbook how you play that scenario, and everybody hit every shot they needed to. That was just a team frag movie moment. That was gorgeous TFT.
And it was definitely amazing to see all of the god rockets this game. Yai and Chunky were both on their game. Marmalou, and everybody else was on their game. They were all hitting crazy shots, especially on those last pushes for some reason. I guess it's just Airshot City and Process last today, but we definitely saw a lot of really good shots, and especially that one where Rakuso got an airshot drop on Cookie Jake. Actually, it was definitely really cool to see that happen. Especially being a soldier player, it was definitely really cool to see such great soldier play today.
Yeah, good play across the board from both teams, but Dorsia does take the victory. I'm trying to pull up the RGL standings, because I actually think this game had a little bit of playoffs implications. I think there was actually an opportunity for the Microwave to potentially sneak into playoffs if they won this game. I could be wrong on that, but I think if they won this game and then a couple other things added up, like I think Dorsia needed to lose out the rest of the season, which I think so Dorsia has a couple buys that they're still waiting on, so I think Dorsia maybe had a chance of getting knocked out of playoffs. I'm not 100% sure. I think there was like one very specific scenario that Dorsia didn't make playoffs and the Microwave would have snuck in. But at the end of the day, Dorsia does take the clean 5-1 win, and I'm 99% sure that secures their playoff spot in the 4th seed.
Definitely agree there. I think if anything, Dorsia has the only chance of dropping out, but they have to have a very, very bad rest of their season and able for that to happen. And seeing as how Brand Slam is honestly carrying even doing so much for his team, when it comes to replacing Yomps, I honestly don't think that that's going to happen for the rest of the season.
And yeah, like I said, I'm 99% sure that in order for Dorsia to not play playoffs and the Microwave to take that last spot, this was a must-win game for the Microwave. I'm not 100% sure on like the how the rounds worked out, but I'm pretty sure Microwave needs to win this game. But it's done and dusted. Dorsia does take the win 5-1, and I'm 99% sure that secures their 4th seed for the playoffs. So I think we have a couple more games that are going to happen this week. This is the last week of matches for the regular season. Believe Dorsia has 2 games to play. No, they have one more game against My Anime List, I think is the last match for the Invite regular season before we go to playoffs.
Definitely would like to see what Brand Slam can do in that game, especially. That's definitely going to be a fun game to watch, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Dorsia is able to make a run in the lower bracket as well, because I don't think they have an opportunity to get higher than the 4th seed, with how things are going to work out. But
especially because they came in like later in the season as well.
Yeah, I mean, they came out of nowhere with a roster, and especially because they didn't have the off season and all things considered, they look very put together, and they look very polished in their play. So excited to see that. So I'm pretty sure what we'll see going forward is we'll see My Anime List and Dorsia play for the last match of the season. Dorsia does have 2 matches outstanding, it says on like the played thing, but they played one of them tonight. We just watched that game. So they have one more game against My Anime List that'll finish out the regular season of Invite, and going forward we'll see Fergatech versus Dorsia and Ascent versus My Anime List for the first round of playoffs. So we'll have a little sneak preview of potentially later games with Dorsia playing My Anime List. So I think it'll be good TF2 to see. So I believe that game is happening tomorrow. So yeah, I think that's about all we've got for tonight. I don't know if you have any other points you want to make, Jakey.
Not really. I think I've said everything I wanted to talk about.
All right, well, I think I'll send us off then. This has been our coverage of RGL Season 3 Invite. This has been Dorsia versus the Microwave. I'm FrickMyNick. I've been joined by Jakey as my co-caster. And again, shout out always to the man on production, Shears. Gotta give the production people some love because they don't get a voice like the casters do. But big shout out to Shears for producing tonight. And I hope everybody has a great night.